All right, and welcome back to the show. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, building damage experts every Saturday right here on iHeartRadio. WFLA Orlando News Talk, 94.1 FM, 93.1 FM, and if you're listening on the AM dial, 540 AM if you're driving through locally in Orlando. Thanks, guys, for hanging out throughout the break. On this segment, we have some new guests in the studio. If you guys remember, Patrick Carr with many different hats, the Patrick Carr Show, Blue Collar Media, and yes, the well-renowned, how do we even say he has the best clean hands and junk that we've ever tested here on the show. Let me just be honest with you, all right? So it was a great show. If you missed that, when you have to go back to the archives for that show. But Patrick, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the introduction. You know, the Peter meter, it came true. I mean, it was one of the best, funniest episodes I think I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I mean, Christy over here is like, what are they talking about?
So we'll fill her in later.
It's good to be back, though. Thanks a lot, Richie. Thank you.
All right. And speaking of, you do have a guest today that you brought on, our guest on the show. If you want to go ahead and introduce her to the show.
Well, Richie, I've talked about this organization before on your show, and I know me and you have done some separate stuff where I've talked about this organization. It's one that I believe in, and I'm really happy your audience has now an opportunity to learn about what this organization is doing. It's Construction Angels. It's near and dear to my heart, and the person here to my left, I know it is to hers as well. It's Miss Christy Gibbs. Christy, how long have you been? I mean, I want to say it's over 50.
Well, first, let's welcome her to the show.
Oh, well, sorry.
Thank you, Richard.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Patrick.
I'm a little rusty at this, you know what I mean? So forgive me. Is it, man, they love you here.
Yeah, they really do.
So
it's for real. It's just going down. All right, so go ahead.
How long have you been? I mean, when did you start Construction Angels? Can you tell us a little bit of the history, maybe for somebody who hasn't been introduced to it before? I know the amazing work you're doing, but help us out a little bit with how it got started and what it's all about.
Sure. Construction Angels got started in June 2011. We're a 501c3 nonprofit charity, started here in South Florida. And so 12 years later, we just had our 12-year anniversary in June. We are in 24 states.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. And the goal is to be in all 50 states by the time I'm 50.
All right.
50 by 50.
That's
so
a great goal.
25 years, you'll be able to make it.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Sure, great, thanks.
If it's okay, Christy or Richie, I'd like to ask, what does Construction Angels do, though, for people who've never heard of it? Because it is so absolutely incredible. I got involved about 2 years ago with what you're doing. I just think it's such a special organization.
Thank you. So Construction Angels is a 501c3 nonprofit charity. We provide immediate financial assistance and grief counseling to the spouse and children left behind when a construction worker has a fatality on the job site. And when that happens, at this point right now, we're at $7,000 per family. We provide up to $1,000 in grief counseling, and we also do scholarships. So let's say, for example, one option is we're trying to retain our kids in the construction industry, so we give out scholarships in states that we hold fundraisers. Another option is when a child has lost a parent due to a job site fatality, they can apply for any type of career that they want, and all the students can reapply each year, which is really helpful to them.
Wow, that's a fantastic, not only idea, but organization. I mean, so many folks that, I wouldn't even know where to go, what to do, what programs were available. If I had a spouse or significant other that did have an accident on a job site, we hear about it all the time. Is that, and you say you're primarily in the United States. Are you in the Southeast? And you said you started here in Florida, and you're in other states. Have you just started in the Southeast and just kind of going out? Or
That's an ironic question. I had a plan to go to some places, but the big man upstairs had a plan to take us other places that we have never figured. So we've been in Kansas, Arkansas, Iowa. We're just having our first golf tournament in Iowa. The one I did pick was Hawaii, so I go there next month. I've been waiting for that one. We're going across the United States. It's kind of scattered. We're in California, Arizona, Utah, so we're kind of in different places.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I mean, I guess it would be where a lot of the hot pockets are of new development building, and where there's a lot of construction workers and things like that. I guess you would go with the flow on those big projects. I would imagine. So, no, that's great. And then how did you guys end up meeting and start? I know you've been on different platforms, not only talking with other roofing contractors but other folks in the industry. Did you guys meet at a one of these trade shows or event places, or how'd you guys meet?
I had decided, Richie, a couple of years back that wanted to do something for an organization within the industry. And so when I went to go looking around, I don't remember who it was that introduced me over to Construction Angels, but I had met them at a clay shoot they were doing, and of all places, and said, hey, listen, I want to do something for this organization. So we did a charity run. And that's what we ended up doing. And we raised about $5,000, which, hey, maybe it helped one family that was out there. And in my opinion, that makes it worth it. Exactly. There we go. Absolutely. And from that point forward, just tried to help where I can in raising the awareness for what this organization does. I remember this, Christy. How did you ever start? I don't know exactly this answer. How did you start Construction Angels, or why did you start it? Was there a family or something you saw happen? Can you fill us on that?
Actually, a lot of people ask me that question. Did you have something that happened to you that made you want to start this? So the ironic thing is I'm a third generation of an asphalt family from Ohio. And I was, grew up in Ohio, went to the asphalt plants. It was my playground with my brother and I. My family's still doing it. It's actually on the fourth generation now with my little cousins, and who are now big. And so I went out to the World of Asphalt trade show in 2009 while I was working in the construction industry here in Florida. I went out to Nashville, Tennessee, and at the World of Asphalt, I met a woman who was collecting money for one of our own. And I said, what is one of our own? And she said a construction worker had passed and he left behind a spouse and children, and, they were just raising money. I assumed one of our own was the name of a charity. And so I brought the idea back to South Florida because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything. What I didn't realize is police officers and firefighters also have one of our own. And it's really supporting people in your own industry. And there was no charity that I could find that was benefiting construction workers. So I started looking up statistics, and I found there was approximately 4.5 construction workers killed per working day in the United States alone.
Holy cow.
And so I found out that there was a need for it. When I wanted to start it, it was back in 2009, almost towards the end, and it took about a year and a half just to get the 501c3, and we started doing our fundraisers in Florida, and my construction job at the time took me all over Florida and into Georgia. So I ended up doing a clay shoot in Georgia. And I figured if I can get in with the good old boys in Georgia, I can definitely go back home and do a golf tournament. So that's kind of how the idea started. And then I had to quit my full-time job. And now this is my full-time job, and it's the most rewarding job I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet you it is. And just to be able to assist or help and be a part of a recovery of a family that just has no other place to go, or, just seems down in their luck, and that one time of need. And I feel like all of us in this industry kind of do that for each other, and has the heart like that to want to put out, their time and effort, and quit your job and be full time in this. I know I live in this full time in this industry for the same different reason, but one and the same is to help folks. And we appreciate what you do and what your organization does. I think that's fantastic. And I do want to have our listeners go to your website as well. So how would what's the best website and way to know more about you and your company?
Great question. So the website is www.constructionangels.us. There's a lot of information there. We have committee members like Patrick. We have volunteers that come out maybe to just one specific event. We also have board of directors that are on a national level that represent various states. Some of them are United Rentals, John Deere, Gilbane. And matter of fact, I was just at a John Deere project. We did a photo shoot today here in Orlando, and they're national, and they're helping us, bring awareness to the charity to get more national exposure and to get other companies like them also involved. So, for example, they had a national fundraiser for us in Las Vegas this year. They hosted.
Oh, wow.
So we look for hosts of fundraisers to get involved. And they had this fundraiser, and now we're hosting a golf tournament in Iowa because of them. So the word kind of spread.
Great. That's great. And they can find a lot of that information on your website. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
constructionangels.us. That's awesome. All right, we're going to have to take a break here. We'll be right back with our guest here, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Don't go anywhere.